Today, Attorney General Merrick Garland reversed the Trump-era immigration ruling that made it almost impossible for people to seek asylum coming from Central America. A majority of the asylum claims coming from Central America were people who were escaping gang violence and people escaping domestic violence. In 2018, former Attorney General Jeff Sessions overruled the Board of Immigration Appeals and said that somebody fleeing gang violence from Central America, somebody fleeing domestic violence from Central America does not qualify for asylum. To qualify for asylum, the legal argument went, you have to be a member of a social group. Somebody fleeing domestic violence, somebody fleeing gang violence is not a member of a social group, or so the legal reasoning went. Seems to me somebody in a gang and fleeing a gang is a part of a group. And somebody fleeing domestic violence, people have domestic violence groups all over the place. People who are victims, survivors. So it was a very flawed ruling. It was really a ruling to prevent people from winning their asylum claims who were fleeing from Central America. Today, Merrick Garland, the U.S. Attorney General, quite ironic, he was also supposed to be a Supreme Court justice, but was blocked in the last few months of Barack Obama's term. He is now getting, I guess, a bit of revenge on the Republicans, overturning Jeff Sessions' matter of AB. Now, those who are fleeing asylum, who claim they're fleeing domestic violence, who claim they're fleeing from forced gang initiation or violence by gangs, or fleeing gangs that they were forced to be members of, are now able to apply and win their asylum claims. So good job there by Merrick Garland, the U.S. Attorney. Also yesterday, the Biden administration said that they're going to expand the number of Central American children eligible to apply for asylum in the United States. It is known as the Central American Minors Program. It began in 2014 during the Obama administration to allow children whose parents were legally in the United States to apply for admission, but the pumpkin stopped it. But now Biden is now putting it back in. A State Department spokesperson said in a statement, the program will go beyond the Obama administration's eligibility limits to consider children whose parents have asylum cases pending in the United States. It was really for unaccompanied children, but now they are expanding it. Did you see what's going on in Europe? It was a big summit between Biden and Putin. Yes, high stakes. The first time Biden met Putin, and there was a lot of wondering what Putin would say and do, because prior to this summit, when asked about President Putin, Biden said, well, I think he's a killer. And there was a lot of talk in the news, what would happen? You know, I mean, nobody expected Putin to go and kill Biden, but how would he react to being called a killer? Well, they were very cordial with one another. It's more important, I guess, that the United States and Russia have good relations than they like each other. As a matter of fact, at the end of the summit, Putin said he had respect for Biden and vice versa. It was constructive. They came away with positive impressions of each other. Putin said he's a balanced and professional man while talking of Joe Biden, and it's clear that he's very experienced. It seems to me we spoke the same language. So I guess they put the he's a killer behind him. They agreed to have their ambassadors return to the respective countries. Both the United States ambassador from Russia and the Russian ambassador to the United States was pulled several months ago. So they're returning. And eventually, hopefully, they continue to have good relations. Nobody's expecting them to be best friends. United States and Russia talking is always a good thing. The House Oversight Committee released email exchanges yesterday that shed some light on the Trump White House's unsuccessful efforts to get the Justice Department to investigate baseless claims of voter fraud. Among the communications was one from Donald Trump's Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, who on January 1st, 6 days before the riots at the Capitol, forwarded to the Justice Department a link from YouTube referencing a video that says that people who live in Italy manipulated the United States election, and the Justice Department should look into this. Can you imagine 6 days before they're now going down to, I found a YouTube video, let's go investigate. Are you freaking kidding me?
Easy.
Wow.
Are you kidding me? I found a YouTube video of somebody saying it was the Italians manipulating the U.S. election. Go investigate.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that's what they were relying on? This is our President of the United States?
Let's just swipe up to that TikTok video we saw and just rush in there and blame anybody. Like, what?
Jared, can you find a YouTube video that says I won the election and send it to the Justice Department for investigation? That's basically what happened. The head of the Justice Department, he was filling in for Porky Pig. Remember him?
Yes.
Okay, so Porky retired early because he didn't want any more nonsense with Trump, obviously, even though he was definitely a guy who was kind of like pushing Trump to keep going and protecting him. He retired before, all the poop hit him in the face, because I guess he saw this coming. So he left the U.S. Attorney's Office to Acting General Jeffrey Rosen, and he responded to this email of the YouTube link saying, go investigate. We found a YouTube video that says Trump won. We want you to investigate this immediately. His deputy, what happened is this YouTube link was sent by Mark Meadows, who's Donald Trump's chief of staff, former President Donald Trump's chief of staff, was sent to a gentleman by the name of Richard Donoghue, who is the number 2 guy at the Justice Department. And then Acting Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen responded to Donoghue, who forwarded the YouTube link to him saying, yes, adding that he was responding to Richard Donoghue's 2 words that on the forwarded email that said pure insanity. Pure insanity. This was our President of the United States.
Not too surprised, though.
Can you imagine? I found a YouTube video. There's a guy dancing on TikTok who says I won. Let's go find him and see what he has to say.
It's a joke.
Yeah.
What a joke, right? A joke.
Yeah, 2021 problems. 2021 problems.
Or as Justice Department official Richard Donoghue said, pure insanity. It really is.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, a Virginia couple pled guilty in the Capitol riots. First couple to plead guilty. They are facing up to 6 months in jail, $5,000 fine. You want to know why people haven't pled guilty yet? Because the prosecutors are demanding they go to jail. They are not giving them slaps on the wrist. So defense attorneys are holding out for better deals, and it appears they're not getting better deals. And what happens if you don't have any leverage to get a better deal, the deal gets worse and worse and worse as you get closer and closer to trial. So unless there's some leverage that these defense attorneys have in their back pocket that I'm not aware of, I think the deals are going to get worse and worse, not better and better. And I think that this couple here who pled guilty, Jessica and Joshua Bustle of Bristow, Virginia, those 2 people right there, they pled guilty 1 misdemeanor charge of picketing and demonstrating in a Capitol building, but were not guaranteed no jail time. A judge can give them up to 6 months in jail. They're expected to get some sort of jail sentence. And this, they say, is going to be a kind of like a template of what's going to happen to others who entered the building but were not violent. This couple entered the building but was not violent. People who are violent, I think, are going to get worse. But I think a lot of people are going to end up in jail. Remember the Weasel? He is former President Donald Trump's chief financial officer at the Trump Organization, Alan Weisselberg. Well, according to people who are investigating Trump at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, they say that there is going to be enough evidence presented to the grand jury that the grand jury could indict the Weasel as early as the end of the summer.
Whoa.
So if this guy gets indicted, okay, I invite everybody to go back and watch one of my favorite movies of all time with Robert De Niro and Kevin Costner called The Untouchables. You ever see that movie? And with Sean Connery?
about it.
What?
You referenced it before.
I love that movie. Okay, and Elliot Ness and and Robert De Niro is Al Capone. Can't touch this guy. He is a mobster extraordinaire. He skirts the law all the time. And you know how they got him? They got him with the bookkeeper. They got him fudging his taxes. That the book said one thing and the tax return said something else. And they got the bookkeeper to flip on Al Capone and testify and say what he signed his tax returns was not his true income. This is the same thing.
Exactly what they want.
This is the same thing in real life, although that was real life too in the 1920s during Prohibition in the United States of America. This is the same thing 100 years later. Get the bookkeeper, he's now the chief financial officer, indict him, you're going to jail for a very long time unless you say that, what's in these books were cooked.
Right.
Yeah,
The books were cooked. I think that's what's going to happen. That's my opinion of what's going to happen. Just watch The Untouchables. The only thing I don't think is going to happen is we're not going to have a situation where Sean Connery comes running down and puts a gun in somebody's throat and threatens him to testify. I don't think they do that anymore. Or maybe they do. But you never know.
I was about to say.
You never know.
You never know.
Right. But Sean Connery's dead, so, they can't bring him back. But we'll see. And finally, in coronavirus news, unfortunately and sadly, 600,000 people have passed in the United States who were infected with the coronavirus. However, Moderna has announced that the federal government has purchased an additional 200 million doses of their vaccine for vaccinating children. Almost a quarter of patients developing long-lasting symptoms, or it's now called long COVID, after they have been infected with the coronavirus. Study found that older patients had a higher chance who have recovered from COVID of developing high cholesterol, while younger patients were more likely to develop gastrointestinal issues. That's trifling.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm on the younger side. I'm like right in the middle. I had a bad case of COVID. So am I more higher chance of getting high cholesterol, I wonder, or developing gastrointestinal issues? Not that I have either one at the moment. But if it's gastrointestinal issues, Yo-Yo said he will continue to do the show from Skype. He doesn't want to be in the studio with me.
Don't want to be in the same.
You're like, boss, I'm sorry, you have long COVID and gastrointestinal issues. I'm gonna do the show from my apartment. Continue. You stay right in your studio.
It sounds
bad.
real.
Luckily, so far for me, I mean, I'm making a joke of it, but luckily for me at least. Do you have any long-term symptoms? You had COVID too. Do you feel you have any long-term symptoms that you're aware of?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not aware of anything. Meanwhile, the Food and Drug Administration has authorized to use another batch of vaccine produced at the Johnson & Johnson Troubled Emergent Biosolutions Facility. What the Johnson & Johnson vaccine that was produced in the United States was contaminated with the AstraZeneca vaccine. They were making vaccines at both in one manufacturing facility, both for AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson, and they mixed the two together. They contaminated everything. But anyone who got the Johnson & Johnson shot in the United States, that Johnson & Johnson shot came from a European facility that was only making the Johnson & Johnson shot, so you don't have to worry about it. Let's get to some camels.
Camels.
Jonathan, you ever hear of this guy, the Sperminator? This guy here, he's known as the Sperminator. He has fathered more than 100 children. His name is Ari Nagel. He has 80 children and 20 more on the way. He's 44 years old. In the past, because of his frequent sperm donations, he has been nicknamed the Sperminator. Now, in May, he provided a life update in an interview with Dr. Oz. In a clip with Dr. Oz shared on Twitter, the pair briefly discussed the 77 children he fathered so far. Do we have this clip? No, we don't have his clip, but I'll tell you what he said. I have 77 children, that's true. But then you look at the 3 women that we just saw on the screen, and they don't have 77 children. For them, it's about having their first child or their second child. So it's not so much, don't focus on me, you're more focused on them who just, they want to have a family. In an interview Nagel gave the British Claire Byrne live show in early March, he said 13 women were expecting to birth his children. The sperm donations Nagel makes have all been free of charge. When asked who gets the sperm donation, Nagel said he has no vetting process for the women who request his assistance, and he tries to help whoever he asks.
He's just that guy.
He reached 100.
Packing, locked in and loaded. That's news to me. Like I think it's just the fact that he can even reproduce that many, because one could be a sperm donor and it not click.
Okay, there's an issue on a discrepancy on his family size. Okay, so there's 15 women currently pregnant in Alabama, Connecticut, Florida, Maryland, New York, New Jersey, Tennessee, and Texas, plus 1 in Europe. So he has 84 born. But when Nagel's fathering may sound extreme to people, it's not an official record. So he's claiming he has 100, but he hasn't reached 100 yet. Is that it, Jill? I'm not sure what the news is here.
You don't see news in a man that has 100 kids?
Okay. A man named Lewis in the Netherlands has reportedly fathered 200 children through sperm donations, according to The Guardian. So this guy has the most in the States, but in the Netherlands, there's somebody else. Let's go on to Kate Hudson. By the way, would you ever be a Sperminator?
No.
No. You don't want any more children than you need?
No. I don't want to have kids out in the world that I don't even know.
But you're helping someone else. You're just like a blood bank, except it's a sperm bank.
Now, Vanessa, did you see this? Kate Hudson is posting a video on Instagram on Wednesday to share some exciting news. The Weight Watchers app has just added sex as an official workout to burn calories.
I could see that being very cardio.
Now the Weight Watchers ambassador, Kate Hudson, said, "Hey guys, I've got some really interesting news that I'm very excited about right now. If anyone needs me, I'm going to be in my bedroom for a good, I'm going to say, hour and 20 minutes if he can handle it. An hour and 20-minute workout having sex, Yo-Yo and Vanessa. You can burn, if you kiss somebody for 1 hour, you burn 68 calories. Okay, if you're making out with tongue, it's 230 calories for a half hour.
Wow.
Having sex, 69 calories on average during a 25-minute session, while men can burn 100 calories. How is it that making out is 230 calories for half an hour, but having sex is only 69 calories for a half hour? That makes no sense.
That don't make no sense.
Unless you're in such a passionate kissing.
Hey.
What? Now, is that how you guys stay fit?
I mean, it's one of the many ways.
One of the many ways.
One could say it's a lifestyle. Yes. One could use the gym.
Okay, but who knows?
Let's just say that I did not need Weight Watchers to tell me how to lose weight, because I was already practicing that way before.
Now, what does that have to say about me who needs to lose 20 pounds? Either I'm eating way too much or not having enough sex. One or the other. God damn it! God damn it! I should be thin, man. I come in a month, you're like, wow, Brad's getting a lot now. Look how thin he is, right?
Summer loving.
Yeah.
Blast.
Exactly. Excuse me 1 second. I have a little hot here thinking about this. Scientists have discovered that sperm can survive on Mars, Yo-Yo. So if you want to join the show that blasts you off to Mars, your sperm. Remember we talked about that yesterday? There is a reality show to compete to be an astronaut in space. Well, Yo-Yo was a little concerned about his sperm count in space. Well, you don't have to worry. We looked it up. Okay,
People are so cool.
scientists have discovered sperm survives in space and on Mars. So it's potentially we could go to Mars and start a new colony there. Astronauts. If there was a way that they could figure out how to undo their astronaut suit and not die. How would that happen? Because there's no air. There's no air, right? How would you
build where you can have air, just like spaceships are able to, have humans in there. So maybe build buildings on Mars where, you don't need your space suit. And then when you go out, then you do need your space suit.
I don't know. Well, all I can tell you is Professor Sayaka Wakayama, a scientist at Japan's University of Yamanashi, told the Daily Mail that these discoveries are essential for mankind to progress into the space age. We now know sperm will survive in outer space.
Yeah, and I nominate Yo-Yo to be the sperm master of Mars.
Can you imagine? There's a Sperminator on Earth, Yo-Yo, but there is no Sperminator yet on Mars. You could be the Sperminator on Mars, Yo-Yo.
I nominate.
Lord have mercy.
Meanwhile, Vanessa, would you go this far for a cheating boyfriend?
Oh, boy.
Yes. 2 strangers had a Turkish delight after luring the man they both thought they were dating to Turkey to ditch him at the airport. Yes, Sophie Miller, age 26, had been dating her 34-year-old boyfriend, Adam. We're not going to say his last name, for 8 months. But she didn't know that Kristen Bishop was also dating Adam for 6 months. And Adam had planned to invite Bishop on a trip with him to Turkey, where they would spend 3 days in beautiful Cappadocia, admiring the hot air balloons before journeying through the bazaars of Istanbul. And then 4 days before their beautiful trip to Turkey, she got a call. A call from Sophie Miller saying, I just thought you would know we're both dating the same guy. Now, Bishop at first refused to believe it, but after FaceTiming Miller, who at the time was in Adam's apartment, they figured out, well, how did this woman get into the apartment unless he's dating her? So then they plotted their revenge. Bishop and Miller, a technical sales manager, met up the next day to piece together the web of their relationships. Instead of canceling the early April trip altogether, Bishop went ahead with the 12-hour flight without letting Adam, the cheater, know that Miller also booked a flight to Turkey to confront him in the airport. They confront him in the airport. They got him in the airport in Istanbul. Right there is the picture in the airport. Once at the airport, Bishop received a message from Miller saying, here's where I'm going to be sitting, and the two later met up. As soon as they arrived in the terminal, Bishop confronted Adam, showed him photos of her and Miller together, and told him he's a cheating SOB. And then Miller and Bishop, the two women, went on their trip that Adam planned, and the two of them went on the trip to Cappadocia together, leaving the cheating SOB in the airport.
I'm just mad they had it. Look, I'm not mad. I'm actually glad that they had him fly to Turkey.
Right.
And then confront him in the airport at the baggage handling. He's getting the bags, and some other woman, and she's with one of the women, and the other woman comes over and says, you cheating SOB, I caught you. They both leave him. They go on the trip to Turkey and leave him stranded in the airport in Istanbul.
That's hilarious. That's
wanted
crazy.
To have your bag and your baggage too, bud.
Yeah. Now, an epilogue to this. Adding insult to injury, the two women were on the same return flight as cheating Adam and sat right behind him in a plane chatting the whole time. And they have pictures of it all.
That is funny.
That's funny. That's funny.
Would you go to that length to confront your cheating boyfriend?
That's really petty. But I would definitely want him to see this for himself. Yeah.
Me personally, I wouldn't be able to hold it in for 4 days. I'd be on the phone in 10 minutes. Ah!
You would.
The heck, man! And I don't think I would be that nice saying, "What the heck, man?"
Right.
I don't know. The building up is probably great.
What?
Just leading up to that moment is probably great. I don't know. As the only woman at the table here, I'm giggling a little bit. Can I get some backup in the chat? What would the squad do? What would you do? I'm checking YouTube and Facebook.
I think the funniest is the pictures of them on the plane and just guys behind. They're like literally right behind the guy who was the cheater. They're both all on the plane going back.
That's hilarious.
Finally, a TikTok user was left with their eyebrows raised, or TikTok users, excuse me, were left with their eyebrows raised after spotting a raunchy scene in the background of a recent video. The clip shared to the account at the Go House Dublin showed 3 women heading outside in the dark to try their hand at a TikTok dance challenge. Andrea Camilla, Shauna Devat, and Lauren Whelan are seen having some fun spinning around to the music, doing their little challenge. But eagle-eyed viewers were quick to point out in the window behind them, a couple can be seen having quite an intimate moment in bed under the covers.
Oh.
The 3 housemates seem completely oblivious to the couple having sex in the window behind them. They're just doing the TikTok dance challenge. The TikTok video was captioned, "Did we do this right? None of us could swing our heads. Ha ha ha."
Yeah.
Oh, they're swinging behind you.
Yeah, they're swinging their heads behind them. You're doing it perfect. At least behind you, they're doing it perfect. More than 3 million people have liked this video, 156,000 comments. And one person wrote, "You all ain't the only ones dancing in the video." Now, Yo-Yo, this reminds me that I'm going to start answering immigration questions in front of people's windows. Maybe we'll catch somebody having sex. We'll put it up on TikTok. And finally, Bradshaw Live goes viral.
There you go.
We just gotta find somebody having sex in a window, and I'll be like, "Yes, the I-130 form." Did I answer that question right?
Right. That's how we're going to do our Bratification Hump Day edition. We'll talk to the crew.
Yeah. Now, other replies were, "Please say that's not real. LMAO, I didn't realize until the comments." The Go House is a TikTok house set up in Ireland where 10 influencers have moved in together to create content. The social media project was set up by Thomas Arnold and Jake Brown. But now that I realize that they're in a TikTok house,
I think it was
perhaps it was set up then.
Set up.
I thought this was, they didn't realize, but I think now this is a setup.
I kind of figured it was a setup because you could kind of tell, just me, being an influencer, and I know like what different influencers do just so their videos go viral. You could tell, there's girls dancing in the front and in the back. Of course, they're going to see, it's bright. You can see the window through they would have been able to see it as well. I think it was set up, but it was funny.
I thought it was funny and maybe it wasn't set up, but now that I realize it's a TikTok house, I say set up.
Yeah.
Vanessa, she's smart. She's smart, Vanessa. She knows what's going down. Set up or real?
No, it's definitely a setup now that we're clear on it.
Yeah.
The shades aren't even like it's not, there's nothing set up in the windows for it to have been like naturally happening that way. Look, they're wide open,
And who's just having sex with bright lights like that?
Maybe we can do something with my OnlyFans page. We could do the Braducation and OnlyFans page with people having sex behind me. Maybe that's something we could do. Thanks for watching. For more Bradshaw Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.